Boom. Hey, folks. How's everyone doing? Sorry I'm a little bit late. I've been running around. Also, I was not feeling 100%, so I was like debating, well, should I cancel? And then I thought, well, what would I want to do if I canceled? Like, what would I do with my evening? And I thought, well, what I want to do with my evening is hang out with people here. So, I may not be feeling well, but it's also like what I want to do. So we're just going to do that. We're going to hang out. So, all right. I hope everyone is having a good evening. Somebody says, so it's going to be a short 6-hour stream. All right. People know me a little bit too well, I guess. We got a few things on the agenda here. We've got, we'll talk a little bit about I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Dead or David or whatever. But yeah, David Anthony Burke, him. So we're going to talk about him and his arrest and all of that stuff. We are going to talk about a bad police officer out of Ottawa, and we'll talk a little bit about that one. I mentioned it. It's David. Okay, well, I'm not bleeding that I know of. We're going to talk about a case that is here in Edmonton that I was going to cover the trial of, and now there's not going to be a trial, and we're going to talk about why and just how messed up that is. We can also talk about Kouri Richins. Kouri Richins has had some additional adventures, and yeah, we're going to talk about why Kouri Richins' lawyers kind of suck at what they do, because they kind of have sucked at what they do. But we're also going to talk about Proctor. Proctor there was a court hearing about Proctor's cell phone records. And some of the stuff that got revealed in the course of that hearing was what the fuck. Just like absolutely what the fuck. So yeah. I would say margarita, but I don't really know what your wine options are. I'm also still trying to find a place to do the Chicago meetup. And the reason why I'm having trouble is that I've got a bunch of places that people suggested as like possibilities, and I looked into all of them, and they all have like $20 drinks. And I'm thinking we need a place where we can actually like not have $20 drinks, because that's just freaking insane. I am not that fancy. I'm not. And so I thought we should look for somewhere that's a little less insane. I see people are saying, yeah, that's just Chicago. You've got to be kidding me. There's got to be places where you're not, where you're not dropping $20 on a thing there. So I see people are saying, ask Law Talk with Mike. I will look into it. So, all right. Am I still leaning towards the 30th? Yes, I am. All right. I'm also contemplating buying a drone to film me doing like shooty things and running around and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't decided for certain. So I guess let's start with the rolling along still says, I'll pay for your drinks, Ruckles. I'm not so much worried about me. I can afford I can afford a few $20 drinks. But I'm worried about like there's a whole bunch of people who are coming in to have a meetup, and I don't want them to have to drop $20 on a drink. So yeah. Yeah. Drones don't work well when you're both the subject and the operator. Some of the drones now will actually follow you around, which is kind of cool. So yeah. All right. Let's start with something I think is kind of fun. And that is the Kouri Richins thing. And the Kouri Richins thing is an example of bad lawyering. And I'll talk about why it's an example of bad lawyering. And let me just... I'm like, oh, right. I've got windows open with court material that I can close. So here we go. This is the thing. So, and this is via East Idaho News. Here, let me adjust. I'm just going to drop the link in the chat. You should go check them out. Give them a click. It's Nate Eaton. He does good stuff. B, you can check that link and you can, check my homework, right? You don't need to trust what I tell you about this. You can look over that. Lara, I am not using Nate's video. He's got the copyright to that video. So he's got the copyright to the article as well. So I'm not going to be reading the article. I'm just pointing out the article here. So judge denies Kouri Richins' request to have the sentencing postponed. So what happens in this particular thing is that Kouri Richins gets convicted of all sorts of things, including, murder. And so because of that, she has to have she had to have a sentencing schedule. And here's the thing. The day that they found that was agreeable to all sides, I need to set a goal. Somebody was saying I set too many drinking goals. So we're just going to set a goal that is, we'll just do a celebration goal. I may still, have a drink, but they said, could you try toning it down on the drinking goals? So we're going to do that. So I set a goal. Now, the date that they found that was mutually agreeable that everybody had free in their schedule was May 13th. And this is some shitty lawyering. And the reason why I say it's shitty lawyering is because, quite frankly, this is Eric Richins' birthday. It's the victim's birthday. The defense lawyers should have, before they went into court on this, booked something for that day. I don't care what they book, like book a manicure, book a, whatever, right? Because the last thing you want to do is have your client's sentencing on the victim's birthday. So I would have booked to be out of town. I would have booked to be like in a coma. Sorry, I'm donating an organ that day. Which organ, whichever one they want, judge. Whatever, whatever they go for. And but instead they just kind of smiled and nodded and agreed to that date. And then later they went, oh, shit, that's a problem. And so then they applied to reschedule the date. And the ruling is kind of interesting because the ruling notes, although defendant argues she needs additional time to prepare her mitigation case, defendant's motion lacks any specificity about what remains to be done or how long she expects such preparations to take. I.e., it appears defense counsel is bullshitting to get out of the May 13th date. Yeah, that's not good, right? That is not helpful. You're gonna need to flesh that out. And then although one of her attorneys experienced a death in her family, apparently that's Nestor, who's had a death in the family, defendant has the benefit of two other highly qualified attorneys to gather and prepare mitigation information. Moreover, to the extent one of her attorneys is unable to attend the sentencing hearing due to commitments in another case, defendant has two other highly qualified attorneys who can represent her interests at the hearing. So Nestor might not be able to deliver the sentencing submissions. We might get Ramos. Or what's the other one? What's her name? The other one. Like I just yeah, this is weak shit. And basic Lewis, there we go. So it looks like they picked a date that is awful, like an absolutely awful date to do it, which is the anniversary of his birthday. And you know it's going to get mentioned, right? You absolutely know that everybody who stands up to do a victim impact statement is going to get up and is going to say, Eric Richins would have been 44 today. Today is his birthday. Oh, Ramos is in trial that day. Oh, sad. Like they are absolutely going to get up and say, so they really, really fucked this up. This is a defense lawyer blunder. It is absolutely, it's absolutely avoidable. Like they should have been able to spot this, and like, sorry, why did you not? Why did you not pay attention to that? Yeah, and I see people saying Kouri is it coming. The thing is that Kouri, I got no sympathy for Kouri Richins, but she should have better lawyering than that, right? She should absolutely have better lawyering than that. So, yeah, I just I'm kind of like saddened that that's happening, but not because I feel bad for Kouri Richins, but because I feel bad for the system, right? Just shows Kouri doesn't know her husband's birthday. I'm gonna tell you, Mrs. Runkle's birthday comes up a month in advance in my calendar, and then 2 weeks in advance in my calendar, such that when Mrs. Runkle's birthday is coming up, I get a notification going, hey, you should start thinking about whether, what to get Mrs. Runkle. And then in 2 weeks, it goes, hey, you should already have something to get to Mrs. Runkle. And then, but the thing is if I lost my phone, if I didn't have access to my phone, and you asked me when is her birthday, I'd be like, ooh, yeah. So, I'm just saying I would not be excellent at that, right? Yeah, it just would not be something I'd be good at. So, all right. Do you know the month? Quiet you. But yeah, I mean, the thing is her lawyers should have had that down. Like, absolutely should have had that down. All right, let's talk a little bit about, because we're not going to go too long tonight. It's going to be sort of a slow night. We're going to talk about all of these things. And what do you call it? Yeah, it's going to be a lengthy night. For Mrs. Runkle's next Japanese food date night. Ooh, that's a good thought. We need to. There's a place that I like here in Edmonton that I haven't gone recently, and if you are in Edmonton and you like good sushi, a place I recommend, and they're not paying me. There's no money changing hands, but Sushi Toshi up at the North End. Me and Mrs. Runkle found it basically by accident, and it's actually hard to get a table. Like, if you're there on Friday and you're like, "Hey, you know, if you're like, "Hey, I want to go on Friday," it's like, if you didn't think of that like Thursday, you're SOL. So, I miss your fun sodas to start lives with. I started with sodas. Okay. I don't remember starting with sodas, but all right. Let's talk about one that is kind of an awful story, and it illustrates a real problem with our system. And so we'll get to the Proctor one after this. We'll cover this, then we'll cover Proctor. Oh, the pickle sodas. Yes, I should go buy more pickle sodas and stuff. There's a place here in town that sells a bunch of weird stuff, and I gotta go. I gotta go buy a bunch, and then we can set those as goals. Yeah, I gotta make a trip. So here we have a story, and I should bring it up on the screen so that you can see it. Ottawa police officer demoted after 69 unauthorized database searches into ex-partners and members of the public. And when they say ex-partners, they mean romantic partners, not like policing partners, right? They mean like dating partners. So yeah, this is the news story about it. It's on CTV News. I'm not going to read you the news story because we don't really do news stories when we can avoid it. What we do when we can is we go to the original material. And the world wonders you are probably eligible for Canadian citizenship. The Liberal Party has basically made Canadian citizenship available like via a Cracker Jack box. So you probably do qualify. So we have instead the settlement agreement. This is we can embiggen this a little further. This is the agreement between the prosecution and the defense. And so they've agreed on the facts and so forth. Any way to plan a meeting July, August 2027? I think we could do that. 2027 is a ways out. So yeah. It was ruled unconstitutional, not on the Liberals for that one. It is. They could have actually changed the law in ways that restricted it a lot more and conformed with the minimum requirements of the Supreme Court decision. But instead of following the Supreme Court decision, they expanded it much, much broader than the Supreme Court decision. And yeah. So like lots of people in the US and various other countries are now eligible for Canadian citizenship. I don't think I'm eligible for citizenship anywhere else. So, yeah. All right. So this is the settlement agreement between the Ottawa Police Service and Constable Jerome Rabija Stevens. All right. Allegations of misconduct. Failure to comply with a procedure established by the Chief of Police. You are alleged to have committed misconduct in that between March and May, March 2024 and May 2025, you conducted 17 unauthorized queries of individuals personally known to you, both on and off duty for personal reasons, via the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario Inquiry Services System. So, as well as CPIC, the Ottawa Police Service Information Technology, etc. So he's using the police systems in order to, to actually check out people he knows. But it also gets worse. You are alleged to have committed misconduct in that between December 2024 and May 2025, you conducted 49 unauthorized queries of members of the public, both on and off duty, etc. Even worse still, you are alleged to have committed misconduct in that on April 27th, 2025, while on duty in police uniform and operating a marked police cruiser, you confronted your domestic partner and a male individual in a Tim Hortons parking lot, maneuvering your police cruiser between their parked vehicles, resulting in damage to the male's vehicle, thereby conducting yourself in a manner that undermined or was likely to undermine public trust in policing. So he sees his domestic partner and some dude and crashes into their car? You are alleged to have committed misconduct in that between March and May, you conducted unauthorized queries of female individuals you met at a gym via the database for the purpose of identifying them, locating their social media, and /or to initiate conduct. So he was seeing women at the gym and he was going, hey, I like the look of her. And then looking them up in the police database system. So it's been a sworn member since 2022, which in the scheme of things, in terms of years of service, is like if you were a dog shit in the backyard, it wouldn't have started growing that white mold yet. On March 30th, he signed the IT General User Acknowledgement Form, acknowledging that he's not allowed to use the system for personal use. Same thing with the CPIC Acknowledgement Form. And he signed the MTO User Access Acknowledgement Form, various other forms that say he can't use this. So, motor vehicle collision and report to OPS. On April 27th at approximately 1 a.m., while on duty in police uniform and operating a marked police cruiser, Constable Rabiha Stevens observed his partner, ST, sitting in a parked vehicle in a Tim Hortons parking lot with a male occupant, BH, in the front passenger seat. So he sees his partner and is like, what's she doing with this rando dude? He maneuvered his police cruiser between their vehicle or between their vehicles and confronted ST about what she was doing and the whereabouts of their child. He then reversed his police cruiser and left the parking lot. In reversing, he made contact with BH's vehicle, leaving minor but visible damage. The police cruiser was not damaged. So he accidentally sideswipes Buddy's car. The incident was reported later that day when BH contacted the OPS in relation to the motor vehicle collision. He reported that the constable had pulled up aggressively beside the parked vehicle and made contact with it, resulting in damage to the vehicle. An invoice was subsequently provided detailing the repairs to the vehicle, totaling $2,632.05. Repair costs were ultimately resolved through the vehicle owner's insurance. So it ends up being on him. Yeah. As a result of this incident, investigations were initiated by the OPS Intimate Partner Violence Unit, the Motor Vehicle Collision Investigative Unit. No criminal charges were laid. Oh, gee, the police investigated and they decided not to charge this dude. During the investigation into the motor vehicle collision, it was disclosed by GL, the registered owner of the vehicle driven by BH during the incident, who is also his ex-partner, that she had been involved in a sexual relationship with Constable Rabiha Stevens. GL also disclosed that Rabiha Stevens appeared to know her home address, despite never having shared that information with him. This prompted concerns leading to a professional standards unit investigation. So she's like, how does this guy know my address? Oh, right, because he's a cop and now he's misusing these systems. So as part of this investigation, they made queries and they determined that he had conducted numerous unauthorized queries on the databases between March and May. The queries involved individuals personally known to him as well as members of the public. The queries were conducted both on and off duty, including during sick leave, annual leave, as well as from his OPS-issued cell phone. A review of the management system revealed that the queries were not related to any police interactions on the dates they occurred. Whoops. This is a good question. For the end of the show, getting ready for my first time testifying as a video forensics expert. Any general advice for someone taking the stand? We will definitely talk about that. So I love the question. We will get to it. Absolutely. So we'll probably get to it right after this. The investigation revealed that he conducted 17 unauthorized queries on people personally known to him, which related in part to his personal relationships and included queries of his ex-partner's ST's parents, the individual with whom he was having an affair, GL, and GL's ex-partner BH. Huh. So she's in the vehicle with BH at 1 a.m. Now, at first, this sounded to me like she was having an affair and, and this guy's catching her and he's angry. But instead, what we're seeing here is that GL was who the constable was having an affair with. So the constable was having an affair with GL. And GL's ex-partner was BH, which suggests that maybe that wasn't an affair they were having in the car. Maybe that was BH telling ST, hey, your cop boyfriend? Well, he's stupping my girlfriend. It's entirely plausible that's what that discussion was about. Also, we hit the celebration milestone. I don't really have a good celebration music because everything is copyrighted, but thank you, folks. So between December and May, he conducted 3 unauthorized queries related to female individuals he met or observed at the gym in an effort to identify them, locate their social media, and / or initiate contact. Guys, this is fucking creepy. Dudes, if you want to have further contact with women, there's an easy way to do that. You go up and you're like, hey, can I have your number? And she will probably say no. And then you just don't contact them. Like, just ask for their, if they're interested in having further contact. But it's not hard. So yeah. Yeah. All right. Between December and May, conducted 49 unauthorized queries on members of the public related to individuals with whom he had limited or no limited personal connection residing in and around his community as well as outside OPS jurisdiction. So I guess he was just curious about people and was looking them up. So now I wonder, did this guy look me up? Who did he look up, right? And if he did look me up, dude, we are not going to date. So, witness ST. Constable Rabia Stevens' ex-partner ST was interviewed by PSU and explained that she was in the process of separating from Constable Creepass. That is a good idea. ST stated that on April 27th, she was hanging out with BH after they'd gone bowling. ST and BH were not dating. She was aware that BH was the ex-partner of GL, the individual with whom Constable Rabia Stevens was having an affair. ST described Constable Rabia Stevens during the motor vehicle collision as reckless and said she felt threatened by his behavior as her friendship with BH was not a secret. She was not afraid of Constable Rabia Stevens, but felt his actions during the confrontation were wrong. I feel like you should be afraid. 90s Artemis, I did see that the Mormon Church is suing a podcast for trademark infringement. I am debating whether I should run it. So, yeah. I might end up talking about that one. I might not. I got to decide. So, and it's partially just if you start talking about religion, you get weirdos, both for and against. So, witness GL. On June 19th, the individual with whom Constable Rabia Stevens had engaged in an affair, GL, was interviewed by PSU investigators. GL stated that she'd first met the constable at the gym around March 2024. She did not initially provide her name to him, and they had no mutual friends. Despite this, he found her on Instagram and sent a follow request. She knew from his Instagram that he was a police officer. A sexual relationship between them ensued. So if you're wondering why he is happy to abuse his, privileges, well, occasionally it gets him laid. Like, he looked her up at the gym and yeah. GL was in a complicated relationship with her ex-partner BH, with whom she cohabited. BH eventually became aware of the affair, and GL removed Constable Rabia Stevens from her Instagram as a result. GL told PSU investigators that during their involvement, Constable Rabia Stevens told her that he had driven by her house in February 2025, around 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. This made her uncomfortable, as she'd never told him where she lived. Rabia Stevens claimed that at the time he'd been assisting the OPP in the area. However, GL believed he had looked up her license plate and learned her address that way. GL stated that she believed Constable Rabia Stevens was with multiple women and that he'd not been honest with her. Communication between them ceased in January 2025 when Constable Rabia Stevens ended their relationship. Witness JR, an individual who he met at the gym and whose license plate and similar variations he repeatedly queried between December 2024 and March 2025. Repeatedly queried? This guy is a fucking stalker. JR stated that she first met Constable Rabia Stevens at the gym in late 2024. They engaged in conversations around High Rocks training. Constable Rabia Stevens followed her on Instagram shortly afterwards, and she received her first message from him on January 7th, 2025. She would occasionally see him at the gym, but never met with him outside of the gym and never formed a personal relationship with him. She did not believe he knew where she lived or worked. Witness MEK. On December 2, 2025, MEK, an individual residing in Constable Rabia Stevens' neighborhood, whose license plate he had queried, was interviewed by PSU investigators. Stated that she did not know any police officer personally, and that she did not know anyone by the name of Jerome Rabia Stevens. So just, you'll note, she did not know. This other woman who's just living in the area and he's looking her up. Respondent officer interview. So he had a compelled interview with PSU investigators. During the interview, Constable Rabia Stevens explained that he met GL at the gym in early 2024. He confirmed that she did not provide her name or address to him. He similarly confirmed that he knew where she lived and had in the past driven past her house. He explained knowing where she lived because he would occasionally drive around the area looking at houses and recognized her car in the driveway because he had spent time in it. When asked about the on-duty query of GL's license plate on CPEC on March 7th, he said he wanted to know who she was, but ultimately could not recall the exact reason. He went on to state that while he did not know her, he queried GL's license plate because he knew she shared vehicles with BH and he wanted insight into whether BH was hanging out with Constable Rabia or with ST. Constable Rabia Stevens acknowledged that the queries of GL were not in a lawful execution of his duties, but that he got into a loop of being focused on his personal relationships and was consumed by the situation. You know, a guy who is consumed by his domestic situations such that, what is it? Such that he starts like abusing these systems and doing queries and all of this shit is somebody who can't be trusted. Full stop. Constable Rabia Stevens believed ST had become involved with BH, which led him to query BH's name. He knew BH had told ST about the affair and believed there was something between them. Over the dates of April 3rd, 8th, 2025, as well as May 11th, while on and off duty, he queried BH's name, driver's license, and various vehicle identification numbers and license plates on the systems belonging to vehicles registered to BH. During the interview, he acknowledged conducting the queries relating to BH. He stated that he queried the vehicle identification numbers to determine whether those vehicles were being used to meet with ST. He further admitted to feeling jealous and hurt and to querying BH in an effort to put a face to the name and to see what was so special about him. In his own words, he became obsessed as he knew BH was talking to ST and spending time with her. Constable Rabia Stevens told PSU investigators that he knew querying BH was not the right thing to do and that he should never have queried him. And yet he did it anyway. So, Constable Rabia Stevens also acknowledged querying ST's mother's and father's names, license plates, and variations of their license plates on ISS and CPIC. On April 26th, while on duty, Constable Rabia Stevens queried a license plate registered to ST's father on CPIC. Why the fuck is he looking up the family? Like, does this sound like a person who might be just a little bit dangerous? Like, yeah. So, on May 10th, while off duty, queried ST's mother's name and a license plate he believed to be hers on MTO ISS. He admitted to being paranoid and unsure whether ST was using her parents' vehicles to meet with BH. PSU investigators asked Constable Rabia Stevens to explain a number of queries between December 2024 and May 2025 that were linked to license plates registered to individuals living in and around the area where he lived, as well as outside OPS jurisdiction. The investigation revealed that the license plates queried by Constable Rabia Stevens belonged to registered owners in Embrun, Castleman, Chrysler, St. Charles, Hawkesbury neighborhoods, various neighborhoods. Oh, including Nepean. That is the riding of our prime minister. I'm wondering if one of the various individuals who resides in Nepean might have included the prime minister. These queries were conducted on and off duty, from both the ISS portal on the mobile dispatch terminal as well as on his OPS-issued cell phone. He could not recall the majority of these queries and could not explain why he conducted them. He indicated he did not recognize the individuals to whom the queried license plates belonged. His explanations for these queries included that he was curious and that he tended to make mental notes of license plates that drove by his house. Who does that? I cannot remember a license plate of somebody who drives by my house unless I make specific efforts to do so and almost certainly write it down. So this gets even creepier, by the way. Oh yeah, this is don't even ask me to remember my own license plate. I have pictures on my phone of my car license plate. And the reason why is because when I walk from my car to the parking station where I'm like where it's like, please enter in your license plate and pay the thing. I don't remember my license plate, so I pull it up on my phone and type it in, right? When questioned about the ISS query relating to MEK, he did not recognize the name, but recalled the query related to a woman that said hi to him while he was walking with his child in his neighborhood. He was curious to know her background, as she was not Caucasian, and he found her attractive. He queried two variations of the license plate and put 2 and 2 together when one of the queries returned a Middle Eastern name. This random fucking person who just says hi to him and his, like, it made the gherkin into the full-size pickle. And so then he goes and is like tracking down her address. This is the kind of shit women are afraid of. Like, on March 20th, 2025, among other unauthorized queries, Constable Rabia Stevens queried a license plate belonging to a registered owner in Orleans. While he recognized the name as belonging to a neighbor, he stated he did not know why he queried that license plate. The following day, he queried 2 additional license plates. Despite not recognizing the name or license plate, he explained that these queries were done out of curiosity about who lived across the street from him. The investigation revealed that the registered owners of the plates were relatives. So here's the thing I do if I am curious about my neighbors and I want to know more about my neighbors. I go and walk over to the neighbors and I'm like, hey, neighbor, my name is Ian. How are you doing? Do you want to talk? Right? Like, we have a conversation. I don't like start looking them up in restricted access databases. I don't, I don't like hire a private investigator to go and explore, like check them out. Like, yeah, we're going to set a new goal here. Share how you'll celebrate. We will celebrate reaching this goal by not looking up anything on CPIC. Several of the unauthorized queries stem from individuals he met or observed at the gym. Which gym? Like, if you are a gym in Ottawa, ban this fucker. Ban this fucker if you run a gym in Ottawa. Because, oh my God. Oh. Yeah. Over the dates of December 2nd, 22, 23, and 26, made numerous queries, both on and off duty, of license plate variations similar to the one belonging to JR, who he'd met at the gym. He explained during interviews that the queries were done out of curiosity and that he'd shuffled the characters around in efforts to determine if the person queried was the right person. He acknowledged that the queries were not work-related and he was aware he should not have conducted them. So, when asked about the query on December 26th, he recognized the registered owner as JR and believed the license plate query to have been from the gym, explaining that he conducted the query as he was not sure if it belonged to her. Basically, it sounds like he got most of the license plate number and then was like, trying variations of it to try to track her down. While on duty March 24th, queried several license plates. He acknowledged that it was not a good look, but he had the license plates memorized. He recalled 2 women from the gym who he normally said hi to and suggested that the registered owner may have been someone from the gym. This guy is stalking. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ironically, this wouldn't even get him Brady listed since he was honest when asked. Well, we'll look at this here. So May 12th, he did another query while parked outside of the gym. Did they at least warn the gym that this fucker is there? So they find him guilty of 2 counts of failure to comply with procedures established on clear and convincing evidence. So they find that he committed misconduct and, further misconduct. 2 counts of undermining the public trust. I'm going to tell you, what undermines the public trust is not just his actions. It's not just his actions that undermine the public trust. What undermines the public trust is this: disposition. Pursuant to the agreed statement of facts, his guilty plea, as well as the findings of misconduct, they agree that the matter should be resolved by the following order. He will be demoted from the rank of first-class constable to second-class constable for a period of 18 months, following which the officer will be returned to the rank of first-class constable. So he's getting a demotion for 18 months. This works out to about a fine of $20,000. He's going to lose out on about 20 grand for this. But I don't think that's anywhere near sufficient. Quite frankly, I don't think that comes close. And the thing is that whatever discipline was afforded to this guy, whatever disciplinary shit, should be entirely separate from what it is he does for work. Because there is no way this guy should ever be trusted with access to this kind of database again. Similarly, the guy who is creepily stalking women at his gym and in his neighborhood should not have a fucking gun. Should not have a gun. Because this is the pattern of behavior that ends with somebody getting assaulted. This is the pattern of behavior that leads to him attacking somebody. This is the pattern of behavior that leads to him one day blowing up a major investigation because he cannot follow proper rules with his phone or whatever. This is the kind of behavior that leads to some sort of nightmare scenario. And yes, that was definitely a lead into what we'll talk about next, which is the Proctor hearing. But yeah. A woman got fired from the pharmacy I work at because she shared too much information. Didn't even involve patient info. I have a friend who works as a nurse. And when they get somebody like famous in their ward, people get fired all the time because if you pull their name, you get fired. And they regularly get audited. If you run a search for somebody you're related to, you will get fired. If you run a search for somebody you think is cute, you will get fired. Because they know that you cannot be trusted with that information, if you are abusing it. So, people get fired over this, and they should get fired over this. The fact that this officer is not getting fired is bizarre, right? Yeah, I just I don't get it. I do not get it at all. So yeah, it's a whole joy. All right. Let's cover super chats here. And yeah, I worked at a trauma ER that regularly check our shit to make sure we had a reason to be in a patient's chart. Absolutely. I don't understand why police officers are regularly held to such a lower standard than like anyone else. It's ridiculous to me. But wasn't there a dispatcher who inappropriately used her access to look up someone up for Turtle Boy, but they didn't prosecute because cops do this all the time? Prosecute that person too. Like 100%. If that's something going on, prosecute that person. Like, yeah. Sandy, hope you feel better soon. Chloe says hi, and she's doing well. That is good to hear. And a girl named Joey, thank you so much. I got to roll this. For your drone fund. Absolutely. Thank you. I got to decide what I'm doing there. DJI makes a couple of them now that have a feature where the drone can like follow you. And so what I'm hoping I could do is like this is the idea that I have that I think would be really cool as an idea, right? Would be that I could send up the drone and have it follow me as I wander around like my land. And I could set up targets on the land, and I could run around and like pew pew the targets as the thing follows me and videos me and so forth. And because the thing is following me and videoing me, I don't need to worry about I don't need to worry about if it gets ahead of me or something, because if I shoot it, it'll be sad, but it won't be like, oh my God. So that's kind of my thought. I should try to figure that out, but yeah, I'm debating on that. I worked on hospital software. There was a special code for famous people, and yeah, if caught doing something like leaking to press, they were out of there. Where I am, the nurses I talk to here, if you pull up somebody else's name and you don't have a reason to check it, you're fired, even if you don't leak anything, even if it's just your own curiosity. Sandy, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Miss Derica Claus says, for someone's drink at the meetup, have one on me. That's actually not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do some do some of those things. So what is that? CC Mills, thank you so much for being a member. Glad to have you here. Beamer, celebrate good times. Come on. Thank you. Joy W says, oh no, a bad cop here in Ottawa. Say it ain't so. Yeah, I know. Matthew M. Ludzinski, I hope I'm getting that right. For the end of the show, getting ready for my first time testifying as a video forensics expert. Any general advice? The biggest piece of general advice is tell the truth. tell the truth, be, and if you don't know something, you can say, I don't know. Like, I don't know is a truthful answer. Don't make shit up if you don't know. Just don't know something. For experts, do your research, do your homework, because they're going to ask you about all sorts of stuff. Make sure you know everything that you possibly can in and out. Review it, review the other side's stuff, and just make sure everything gets make sure you're prepped. Don't do what is going on with the experts in something we'll cover a little later. But the big thing is just be honest and truthful. Where people get into trouble is bullshitting on the stand. So, yeah. Lisa Hess, thank you so much for being a member. Much appreciated. Vez from Quebec. Okay, October 2026 in Quebec and summer 2027 with the RV and all its broken and helpfully repaired parts. Yes, we could either do a meetup here, or Vez, you would be invited up to the land if you wanted. So if you brought the RV and if you could get it to the land, we could do that. I will iterate that I will put $200 in the kitty for drinks, not just for you, Runkle. Hey, rolling along, it would be great to see you there, and that would be awesome. And just answer the question that was asked is an important one. Remember that you're in. Your job is to give information to the finder of fact, not the dinner of fact. But I'm guessing that was an autocorrect. Not to win. The best witnesses don't have a side. Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, make sure you complete your BGS. Basic. I don't know what BGS is. So, yeah. What is it? Crazy Cat Queen. Thanks for the great stream, Ian. I really needed this. My hub's got food poisoning, septic with part bowel and oh my, renal failure, then surgery because gallbladder quit working. Thought might lose him. Been 2 weeks. Better. Oh, better now is the part of that I liked reading, because the rest of that I was like, oh no. Victorine 3, I'm taking a shot every time you say Kouri's. I'm 3 sheets to the wind in Nova Scotia. I want to go out to Nova Scotia. I want to go. One time I would love to do a thing of going through all of the Maritimes. Maybe I won't be kissing any cod. That doesn't really feel like a thing. I'll do the screech, but I won't. I'll skip the cod part. I don't know if that's Nova Scotia or a different area, but yeah. Joy W says, and that's the reason I don't go to gyms here. That's my excuse now anyway. Lol. Fair. Suzanne D says, and they wonder why we choose the bear. Yeah, at least the bear doesn't have CPIC access to find out where you live. So OPP cops are okay with this. They paid his lawyer. Kissing the cod. So there's a Maritimes, I forget which maritime province it is, tradition, and basically it's you get screeched in, and they have you drink Screech, and Screech is basically the world's shittiest rum. It's like a rum product, but it's the Malort of rum. So it's oh yeah, that's Newfoundland. So yeah, it's not very good rum, but it's drinkable. A friend of mine is from the like from the Maritimes, and for his bar call, he brought in a bottle of Screech. And that me and him, I drank about 25% of it, and he drank about 75% of it. And so we got through it. He was not he was not good afterwards, but they have you drink some Screech, and then they have you kiss a codfish. And yeah, it's a whole thing. It's weird. I'd skip the cod, but just drink the Screech. Mispronounced name. They should be required to post a photo of this cop so I can know if he goes to my gym. They should be required to ban him from every gym. The world wonders his objectively no such thing as a good cop as long as his fellow cops aren't publicly losing their minds over him still being one. Silence is approval. I suspect that a lot of the cops there don't like this guy now. Patricia says, please don't rehome him to York Region. Fair. Pamela de Camel, I got my pigeon business merch today. Awesome. I got to get those pins up for sale. Woot, full year. Been around even longer than that. Good to see you. Helgerdon, thank you so much. Pammers, insurance adjuster here. Would be a code of conduct violation and instant relief of duty. 1, to be in a claim without a reason to be, and 2, using asset check or skip trace program for personal reasons. Yep. And Todd Johnson, thank you so much for the 20 gifted memberships. Got this. No, it's like an actual codfish, not like, yeah. Y'all, please do not listen to Runkle about Screech. In which way? In the sense of saying it's bad or in the sense of saying it's drinkable? Because, I'm just thinking like I should, if I do a meetup anywhere in Canada, and I should do a meetup somewhere in Canada, I'll have to like bring a bottle of Screech. One of the other things I want to do for the meetup is I want to reach ahead to the bar and I want to see if I can get them to bring stuff in specifically to make Caesars. Because, I mean, I like Caesars, but you guys might want to try some Caesars too. So I might be like, hey, can you guys bring in some, can you bring in some, Clamato? Can you bring in some steak spice? Can you bring in some, all of this stuff? So yeah, we'll have to figure all that out. Okay. So we are caught up and now we are going to watch a hearing, and this hearing is, Karen Reed is in court. She is trying to use Proctor's cell phone for other cases. So, wouldn't a well-stocked bar usually have the right stuff to make a Caesar? Not in the U.S. Most U.S. bars do not carry Clamato that I know of. Clamato, steak spice, etc. All right, let's go and watch this. Hopefully the sound is right. Here we go. Step up. By the way, this lawyer who is dead center is kind of a badass, and I like her hair. I really like her hair because she's got this like short, spiky hair, and she kind of reminds me of Mama Runkle. Mama Runkle has sort of a similar vibe, similar hairstyle, except Mama Runkle's hair is purple. Like she's got the same sort of style of hair, but purple. And this hearing is, kind of. Okay, she is a badass. Like she's absolutely a badass, and she came to play today. She came to, yes. Mama Runkle is my mom. Yes, Mama Runkle is my mom. Mrs. Runkle is my wife. So yeah. All right, here we go. Yes, and Mama Runkle is not a lawyer. I am the first lawyer in my family, unless you go like way far out. So yeah. Okay, now one other thing I want you to notice here. So we've got this nice big courtroom, it's really, all of this stuff. And over here, sitting in the corner, is that looks like Adam Lally in the corner chair. And I'm like, oh, that's a bad look. Dude, just sit in the gallery. Like, just do that. I have no idea why he's sitting in the corner chair, but it's a bad look. The internet memes about sitting in the corner chair.
Just texting your arm, just waiting for him to text back. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Vincent Busby and Anthony Coleman. Okay, we need one more job. So wait for next card number 5. Tumult versus Vincent Busby, 25.
Briefly.
Front on the record. Maybe I'll talk about it.
All right, maybe we'll skip ahead.
We'll try. Yeah, I don't think so.
Next, for the court numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1 is Commonwealth versus Miles King, 21 CR 320. Mr. King is present and represented by attorneys Rosemary Scapicchio and Nicole Scapicchio. Also before the court, Commonwealth number 2, Commonwealth versus Bianca Chanchio, 22 CR 265. Ms. Chanchio is not present. Her presence is waived by her attorney, Joseph Caldo.
Yes.
Also before the court, Commonwealth versus Giovanni De Los Santos, number 3 on today's list. Mr. De Los Santos is not present. His presence was waived by his attorney, Joseph Krowski Jr. And finally, before the court, number 4, Commonwealth versus Sean Johnson, 22 CR 268. Mr. Johnson is present and represented by attorney Rosemary Scapicchio. With the Commonwealth.
I also just want to note Johnson is one of those names that used to be pretty boring, and then slang caught up to it. And the slang is not fantastic. So
we have Lisa Beatty and Pamela Alford. And if the parties, and excuse me.
I'm sorry the video is not great, but because it's I can't shut my VPN off because the VPN is, if I turn it off, then it says you're in the wrong country. Runkle, do you know what the current percentage of men versus women in law school is? I know in vet school, there are far more women than men. When I was there, it was 55% women and 45% men. It's probably shifted even more. So,
and for Michael Proctor, we have attorney Tom DeGangi, and for Kouri, we have attorney Aaron Rosenberg. If the parties could please all identify themselves for the record, beginning with the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon, Lisa Beatty for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pamela Alford for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon.
Attorney Joseph Krowski Jr. on behalf of Giovanni De Los Santos.
Okay, hi.
Good afternoon, Rosemary Scapicchio on behalf of Mr. King and on behalf of Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Scapicchio on behalf of Mr. King and Mr. Johnson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Aaron Rosenberg on behalf of third party Karen Reed.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Tom DeGangi on behalf of third party Michael Proctor.
Hi, Mr. DeGan.
Joseph Cataldo on behalf of Bianca and Chanchio.
Okay, good afternoon.
so the guy who Michael Proctor hired shows up with like the most Boston-y of Boston accents. And I'm just like, why did they pick a guy who seems like, how do I put it? I feel like this guy couldn't buy drugs at a rave because everybody would be like, you are totally a cop.
Mr. Cataldo, I'll start with counsel for Ms. Reed. Go right ahead. I've read the briefs, and I'm familiar with the history of what's happened with this phone. So go right ahead.
Understood.
This is on something you haven't filed with, right?
Say that again?
This is on a suit that you haven't filed as of yet.
This is a suit that we are going to file within the coming weeks as soon as the presentment period expires.
Okay.
So it was mentioned in the suit that we filed, and we said we were going to file it once that period expired, and that's the same suit that we're talking about.
Okay.
Because of some machinations and procedural things, that now has to be a whole separate lawsuit because the other lawsuit we filed was removed to federal court where we can't sue the state police. So it's going to be a separate case as of the next few weeks. But what we're seeking here, Your Honor, is actually a minor procedural amendment to the order that you issued last time we were all together. And it's an amendment that will have zero practical impact. As of today, according to the court and the Commonwealth and the parties, Ms. Reed may already use these communications from Mr. Proctor's private cell phone for any purpose in the pending O'Keefe litigation. And they're subject to the restrictions that we all agreed upon and that Your Honor accepted. So if we wanted to or needed to, we could today file these documents that we're talking about. All that we're asking is that we have permission from the court to do the same thing we're already allowed to do in the pending litigation in Plymouth, in the O'Keefe litigation, in the complaint that we file, and also in Superior Court, and we are agreeing that it would be subject to the exact same restrictions. The only change to our agreement with the Commonwealth and your order would be adding one other litigation that it could be used in. But again, another Superior Court litigation. This request is necessary because the communications are highly relevant to the negligent hiring, supervision, and training claims that Ms. Reed is bringing against the Massachusetts State Police, as well as the town of Canton, which she's going to do in a matter of weeks, as I just told Your Honor. And these relate to primarily Mr. Proctor, as well as Canton Police Sergeant Sean Good. These messages contain images of, as is already in the record and as the Commonwealth has said, and information about women that appear to be unrelated to the people in the conversations and likely unaware that they are contained, these pictures.
So this lawyer is coming in and he is really soft peddling things. You know, he's like, you know, and this is not the time to soft pedal, I think, because we're going to find out what all is in there, and it's bad.
Or messages are contained within this data. We've already agreed that that is subject to strict confidentiality provisions. We are not able to use those unless we come to you and ask, and we are not asking for that right now. What we're asking for is the messages, primarily the message.
Yes, his tie is too long. Your tie should not, like, your tie should not dangle below the dangle.
Is written by Michael Proctor and Sergeant Good of the Canton Police. But now the Commonwealth, in its opposition to this procedural motion, is attempting to tell Ms. Reed, a private party in civil litigation, what she does and does not need or get to use in the complaint that she's going to file. There is nothing in the rules, the law, or anything else that gives the Commonwealth the right or the ability to do that. And this is not premature at all. Ms. Reed does not need to wait according to any rule or law. She does not need to wait until discovery to use evidence.
I mean, the thing is that his tie isn't. His tie is aimed directly at his ankles. Yeah, I don't like wearing ties. I have been known to call ties dick arrows because they do point directly at your dick. That is what they do. And this is also why you should never wear bow ties, because all ties are dick arrows, but most ties have the tie go directly down, whereas bow ties have two triangles that point directly towards like your face. So,
and communications that she already knows about. So frankly, it's unclear why the Commonwealth is joining with Mr. Proctor to oppose this motion today. These existing restrictions are more than sufficient to protect the legitimate confidential images of women or other people that are not Michael Proctor, are not Sergeant Good, are not otherwise relevant. But the only reason why we need to even come to you today is because when Ms. Reed tried to add these claims to the existing O'Keefe case, a number of parties and third parties objected and opposed that, and she was unable to bring those claims in the existing case. If that hadn't happened, this wouldn't even be necessary. We'd already be able to use them. Now, as opposed to the Commonwealth, Your Honor, it's very clear why Michael Proctor opposes this motion. As we said in our papers, these communications are not private, they're not personal, they're not confidential, and they're not privileged. But what they are is staggeringly anti-woman, racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, among other things.
okay. Yeah. That is kind of the thing here. I'm just trying to share how you'll celebrate. We are setting a goal to make Proctor sad. There we go. Whoa, nope. All right, so let's hear that again.
They're not, as we said in our papers, these communications are not private, they're not personal, they're not confidential, and they're not privileged. But what they are is staggeringly anti-woman, racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, among other things.
Now, here's the thing. These things should absolutely preclude Proctor from being a cop. Because you don't want a cop who is a racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-woman piece of shit. But he sent these texts to people, right? Like, my phone doesn't have a feature to let me text myself. And so everybody he sent those texts to, if they are also a police officer, should not be a police officer anymore. And if I am sitting in jail, or if I'm a lawyer for somebody who's sitting in jail, and Proctor or any of the co-workers who were involved in this shit were on the file, I would be turning around and I would be saying that, I'd be turning around and I'd be going, am I maybe in jail because Proctor drops the N-word and is the kind of person who drops the N-word? This actually imperils a whole bunch of other prosecutions. This is serious shit. And they should be going through and doing like an audit of every single other person's, and they should be firing so many people. So many people.
And that description applies to messages from both Mr. Proctor and Sergeant Good of the Canton Police Department. So it's understandable why Mr. Proctor wants to keep that secret, but he has no right or basis to do so.
And this guy looks like he's got a hemorrhoid that's like trying to learn to box.
As a reminder, and I understand you're aware of the history having been involved, but Ms. Reed only has access, Ms. Reed and other defendants only have access to this because the court ordered the Commonwealth to get this phone and to conduct this review. According to Mr. Proctor's own counsel, between the time that the phone was returned to Mr. Proctor by the Commonwealth and counsel was engaged, he conveniently lost that phone. So this is the only way that these documents are available. In this opposition, he just rehashes the same arguments that Your Honor rejected in the prior motion where we were aligned with the Commonwealth. They're not private, they're not protected messages. These are messages he shared with his group chat of friends. And he also now triples or quadruples, I've lost count, down on the argument that the court should restrict use of his own chats, his own messages, because he chose to share images and private information relating to third-party women with his friends. He wants to restrict use of that now to protect those women's rights. I think the absurdity of that argument is clear. In a normal civil case, there would be no question that Ms. Reed could use these documents in her coming complaint, but obviously this is not any civil case. We recognize that. So we're here again, seeking the court's permission to do so again, subject to the exact same confidentiality provisions that everyone has already agreed to.
Okay, and so you're talking about the February 26th order on O'Keefe versus CC Hospitality. That same order that I issued?
Correct.
Okay.
And the only change would be adding
this matter.
Correct.
Okay, let me hear from Mr. Proctor's counsel. Go right ahead.
Your Honor, the plaintiff purports to bring a claim under Chapter 258 for negligent hiring and supervision, not against Mr. Proctor, not against Sergeant Good, but against Mr. Proctor's employer, the Mass State Police. The documents that you ordered produced in February of this year are text messages and images from a private cell phone. It's a matter of public record that back in January and February of 2022, and well prior to that, the Mass State Police did not have any policy or procedure governing the use of private cell phones by their troopers.
I'm pretty sure they had policies and procedures that said you could not use the hard R N-word. And if they didn't, it's because they didn't think they needed to, because the same way they don't have policies saying you can't try to basketball dribble a toddler, right? Sure, nobody specifically says you can't bounce a toddler off the pavement, but it's known, right? This should be something that people are aware of, that that is not what toddlers are for. And similarly, his text messages, Wednesday, excuse my ignorance, what does hard R mean? The N-word, if you hear it the way it's pronounced in rap, ending with an A, is the soft R. The hard R is the way I'm not, you will never hear me say on the channel, because, yeah.
Okay, so if he wants to bring a negligent hiring claim against the Mass State Police, there's no way, and the plaintiff doesn't allege this, or excuse me, Ms. Reed doesn't allege this or plead it in her motion, that the Mass State Police could have known about these text messages on a private cell phone, should have known about these text messages on a private phone, or through the reasonable use of discretion would have ordered a Mass State Police trooper to turn.
He texted other police officers. And so through the reasonable use of discretion is, if you get a text message and you are if you're a police officer and one of your fellow officers sends the hard R, you're oh, right, this guy needs to stop being a fucking cop. Yesterday.
Over his private cell phone after working there for 12 years. In fact, Your Honor, I'm not aware of any employer in the Commonwealth, or perhaps even nationwide, that orders their employees to turn over their private cell phones before they're hired or after they're hired. That would be tantamount, with all due respect, Your Honor, to the trial court or the governor putting you on the bench saying, I want to look at your cell phones. It just doesn't happen, Your Honor.
Let's see how.
Yeah, you know what isn't in the judge's cell phone? I'm gonna bet any of these words. Because, like, yeah.
Boring I am.
Now, this guy has Lally's haircut, but Lally just has less of Lally's haircut than this guy has. So, and there's Lally sitting in the corner looking sad.
I want to look at your cell phones. It just doesn't happen, Your Honor.
Let's see how boring I am.
You'd see how boring I am. That's the judge very casually going, you know what ain't in my phone? Asshole.
Secondly, Your Honor, there are privacy interests here. In footnote number 2, I believe, of Ms. Reed's motion, she recognizes and...
Oh, fuck off with, like, we're defending their privacy. The privacy of, like, the women whose pictures they've got. Yeah.
Attorney Rosenberg just said it right now. These text messages and these alleged photographs are unrelated to the Karen Reed case. What relevance can they have to a negligent hiring, training, and retention claim against?
Gee, I wonder, could it be the trooper, like, if you think Karen Reed is guilty, and there's lots of people out there who do, they're in my Twitter, like, replies, and they don't want to act like reasonable people. They just want to, like, you know, go on full fucking rage outs. But, you know, if that's you, you should be extremely pissed about Proctor. And you should be extremely pissed that they, you know, that they hired Proctor and all of his sacks of poop that are around him.
The Mass State Police, where Mr. Proctor is not even a named defendant in that lawsuit. Moreover, Your Honor, if you read Exhibit 1 to my opposition, it's a 17-page opinion by Justice Krupp.
Yeah, I read it.
Okay, so you saw in there, Your Honor, that Justice Krupp back in November 2023 had serious...
How does the Boston accent manage to make saw into like a 3-syllable word? You saw her in... It's like, okay.
Serious concerns about the privacy interests that were being brought upon by Ms. Reed's followers, okay? Cell phone calls to Michael Proctor's wife, posting Michael Proctor's wife's cell phone on a public forum, posting the name of her employer on a public forum, posting her employer's phone number on a public forum.
Yeah, nobody should be doing any of this shit. You know what else nobody should be doing? Nobody should be, like, sharing nudes for women that they, like, nobody should be using the hard R when, you know, like, oh my God.
And encouraging Ms. Reed's followers to bombard the employer. What is going to happen?
And I know you folks are more sensible than that. You're not, you know, trying to contact anybody. You're not, you know, but again, don't.
I'm not aware, Your Honor, and I'll say this frankly, I'm not a party to the wrongful death case down in Plymouth. But if there's no confidentiality order in that suit, there's nothing protecting any person from using this information and going after Proctor, the witnesses, the House defendants. You may be aware that just about a week ago, the people that lived inside or that were inside 34 Fairview Road in Canton on the night of this murder actually filed a defamation suit against Ms. Proctor. Now, what's telling, Your Honor...
Wait. This guy got it wrong. They filed a defamation suit against Ms. Proctor. It's like, did you want to try that again? They filed the defamation suit against Karen Reed, and against Turtle Boy, but not against Ms. Proctor. But he is kind of lost. He misspoke.
I came across some information that I did not have at the time I filed my opposition. And it's a motion in opposition to a motion to compel, strike that. It's an opposition to a motion to compel filed by the town of Canton on a motion to compel brought by Attorney Rosenberg. Attorney Rosenberg and Ms. Reed are seeking the personnel files of Sergeant Good. And this was filed about 3 weeks ago on the docket.
Sergeant Good is kind of ironically named as well. So.
And the town of Canton alleges that when they received this original keeper of record subpoena for Sergeant Good's personnel file, the town of Canton turned over a one-page document, which was a letter putting Sergeant Good on paid administrative leave. And according to the town of Canton's filings, that decision had nothing to do with the Karen Reed case. However, according to page 2 of that opposition, the town of Canton attorney states, on or about December 12, 2026, town council produced to defendant's counsel a copy of the notice of placement on paid administrative leave letter issued to Sergeant Good. Immediately after the letter was produced to the defendant, copies of the letter were posted online. Within 24 hours, someone leaked it to the press. You've got nude photos allegedly in this case that they want to reference, might make reference to in this litigation. You've got the privacy interests of witnesses. You've got the privacy interests of victims.
Yeah, it sounds to me like Proctor should be paying a fuck ton of money to a fuckload of people whose privacy he violated if all of that shit is on his phone. Right? Like you're saying, oh, he's got all this shit on his phone that, you know, it can't be. It's like, I mean, it'd be one thing if it was just like, look, there's nothing interesting on his phone, but, you know, we can't reveal it because he's got pictures of Mrs. Proctor or whatever, right? Like, if that was the case, I'd be like, okay, you make a good case. Like, we shouldn't be putting her on blast. That would suck. Let's not do that. But instead, it's an entirely different thing. So
none of this is relevant to a negligent hiring, retraining, and retention claim against the Mass State Police, Your Honor. I would also state that there's no joinder here between myself and the Commonwealth. We didn't join motions. I filed my own separate opposition. I just want to clear that up. There's no agreement between us. So based on all that, Your Honor, I think Mr. Proctor's been through quite enough here. I'd state to the court, Your Honor, that this is a gentleman who committed 12 years of his life as a Mass State Trooper.
And we wish he hadn't. Like, this is not a selling point. This guy spent, 12 years of his life, and he sucked every minute of it. Like, this guy's been a surgeon for 18 years, and it's like, most of his patients died, though. Like,
During those 12 years as a Mass State Trooper, he was evaluated every single year by his supervisors. He was never...
Yes, fire the fucking supervisors. Like, if Proctor was well evaluated by his supervisors, fire him or fire them.
Never disciplined. He never received a letter of warning.
This is an indictment of the system here. It's not like, oh, good, he's such a good cop. This is such a shit department.
Was never suspended. He worked 40 hours a week, keeping drug dealers away from our kids' schools, murderers away from our family, rapists away from our children. It's well known, Your Honor, that after these records came out, his cell phone texts, which he openly admitted in court that he sent, after they came out, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office investigated him, the Mass State Police investigated him, and according to the special prosecutor who uttered an open court, perhaps this one, on March 4th, 2025, a federal grand jury investigated him and closed the investigation. This is nothing but a fishing exhibition, Your Honor.
A fishing exhibition. Okay.
And I think it should stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right.
He's like, this officer dipshit has been through enough. And I'm like, no, he hasn't. Officer dipshit needs to go through some more shit. Like, he has not been through enough. Sorry. Disagree. Hard stop. Nope. He could go through some more shit. I would be okay with that.
Why don't I do this? I'll go to the Commonwealth last. Why don't I start with Attorney Scarpiccio? I'll go to Mr. Krowski and then Mr. Cataldo. Attorney Costa, are you still part of this, or is your...
I am not. I'm just
Okay.
curious right today.
Nice to see you.
I wish I was.
Okay,
We miss you.
go right ahead.
Yeah, you're right. So we don't really have a position with respect to anything that's going on here.
Yeah.
We're here for two reasons. One, because again, we want to explain to the court that this protective order is ridiculous. He doesn't meet any of the conditions for which a protective order should issue. He's not a victim. He doesn't need protection. No one has threatened him. He says some vulgar, disgusting things that apparently repeatedly from 2014 to 2022, and shares it with his friends like it's please pass the buck. That's the tone of these conversations, Judge.
I love her. She is awesome. Yeah. She just comes in and she's like, I choose violence. She, like, Karen Reed's lawyer, he's a good lawyer, all of this, but he came in and he's like, let me just kind of soft pedal this. And she's like, nah, we go into war. I would love to sit down with her and just, hang out sometime. That would be amazing. Cause yeah, and you know what? I bet she knows a good scotch. I bet
And so the protective orders, for my purposes, are interfering with my client's ability to get a fair trial. Right now, my client, Mr. Johnson, is housed at the Norfolk County House of Correction. We moved mountains to get him access to what we call the Proctor materials. And right now, there's a 44,000 page report that comes from his phone. And there's additional information, close to 70,000 documents that he has to review. Right now, he gets 2 hours a week to review them. He's got a November trial date. It's not going to happen, Judge. It's taken me almost 7 months to get through the bulk of what was happening with Trooper Proctor. So I'm here again, Judge, saying that this man should not be treated any differently than any other witness in any other case.
yes, he's just a dude, right? He's just a dude. He doesn't get special, we should stop giving him special cop powers and special cop privileges. He is just a dude, and not even a good dude. He's actually kind of a shitty dude. Like, he's like, if you line up all the dudes, he's not at the worst end with like Ted Bundy, but he's at the end of like, shitty ass. Yeah.
Why are we protecting him? Why is the Commonwealth protecting him? Why is anyone protecting him? The public should get to know exactly who he is and what he's done. They do that with any witness. If it's a regular witness who appears before any judiciary body and they've done something wrong, they have criminal records that they plaster all over the front page of papers. Nothing like that is private. And so why are we considering this private in this case, Judge? And that's really the issue that I have. And I've also, we're not arguing today, Judge, but I've filed motions in both Mr. King and Mr. Johnson's case for materials regarding Mr. Proctor's hiring, Mr. Proctor's application, Mr. Proctor, whoever reviewed that application, any of the exhibits to that application, and then any and all of his training, because I think his lawyer said it best. Our point is that he's biased. It's certainly against Black and brown individuals. I think Ms. Reed has a different issue, and I'm not disputing that he's biased against them
It
as
may
well.
not let the link go through, but sure,
in this
if
case,
it
Judge,
goes through.
our position is that it's not a separate entity. In other words, when we did the Ellis case, and we knew the police officers at Ellis were committing crimes, in the beginning, when the first lawyers filed that motion for a new trial, we couldn't connect the crimes to the actual the conviction in Ellis. And it took us 18 years to be able to do that. We were able to finally connect it. This is completely different. This isn't like that. It's not a separate entity. It's who this man is. He's a racist, really a racist person from the beginning. Some of the things that he says, Judge, which I know you've heard through the grapevine, but some of the things that he says, like he'll say things like, "It's kill an N-word in Canton Day."
What? What?
Everybody get there. Like,
I get
this is
your
what we're
point.
dealing with, Judge.
I get
And
your
so
point.
what are we protecting? That's
All
what I
right.
can't figure out. What are we protecting here?
Okay.
Why isn't he subject to the same type of scrutiny that every other witness?
Let's go back to that.
Like, he'll say things like, "It's kill an N-word in Canton Day." Everybody get there. Like,
I get
this is
your
what we're
point.
dealing with, Judge.
I get your
And so
point.
what are we protecting?
Here's the thing, Judge. If you can't let her say it in open court and not even, I knew it. I saw it. I watched it earlier. But if you can't let her say it in open court, like if you have to start interrupting her to prevent her from saying this because it is shocking, even when she says kill an N-word day, like even when she is censoring it, you cannot let this be said in your courtroom, Judge. Of course it's fucking relevant at that point. Of course it's relevant.
Racist person from the beginning, separate entity. It's who this man is. He's a racist, really a racist person from the beginning. Some of the things that he says, Judge, which I know you've heard through the grapevine, but some of the things that he says, like he'll say things like, "It's kill an N-word in Canton Day." Everybody get.
You see this guy right here? Watch him. The guy writing on his yellow pad.
Like he'll say things like, "It's kill an N-word in Canton Day." Everybody get there. Like,
I get
this is
your
what we're
point.
dealing.
That guy certainly stood up, certainly looked up, and he's like, yep.
With, Judge.
I get your
And so
point.
what are we protecting? That's what I can't figure out. What are we
Also, this bailiff is this guy's a mountain. Do not fuck with this bailiff. Holy crap.
protecting here?
Okay.
Why isn't
I feel like if you mouth off in this courtroom, this guy is capable of picking up an entire pew and just launching it out the window.
he subject to the same type of scrutiny that every other witness and every other case is subject to? And I'm saying it specifically for Mr. Johnson, who's in custody, who doesn't have access to his materials, who can't be ready for a November trial date unless we do something different, Judge. And in this case, the difference that I want the court to consider is to be able to give him all of these materials in paper form, in a single cell, so he can review them and be ready for his November trial, Judge. That's what I'm asking.
Thanks very much. Attorney Krowski.
Judge, thank you. On behalf of Mr. De Los Santos, to the extent we have any standing whatsoever in the civil matter, which seems to be what we're addressing, Mr. De Los Santos does not object to the free flow of information, any and all relevant information being turned over to Ms. Reed's counsel. As a matter of fact, I think that Mr. De Los Santos inevitably will benefit from the more information that is shared related to Trooper Proctor in the contents of his cell phone. I can echo the comments of Attorney Scapiccio. We do have access to 44,000 pages. I will tell you, it is breathtaking, upsetting, and unnerving. We agreed to a protective order at the beginning of this case just because we wanted to get the case moving along. I can tell you that I anticipate within the next 3 to 4 months, once we've had a chance to go through all of this documentation, to get total and absolute relief from the protective order in the criminal case. I will say, we are mindful. We are mindful there is.
I like the yellow tie. It's a very simple tie. Like, it's just yellow, but I like the yellow tie.
Some innocent third parties that have been captured in all of the malfeasance in the cell phone. We'll do whatever we can and work with the court and Commonwealth to make sure that we don't bring them into this. We don't re-victimize them. We don't harass them. But the information in them is all germane to how an investigation in my client's case, Mr. De Los Santos's, was conducted. So we have absolutely, unequivocally, no objection to what is sought by Ms. Reed's attorney. I just think it's not my case, a civil suit, but I think there was counsel misspoke. Ms. Proctor has not been sued for defamation. But that's our position. And
he's like, let me clarify the stupid thing the other lawyer said. And the judge is like, I figured it out. I could do the math. Thanks.
Talk to Mr. De Los Santos about this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. No objection. No objection.
Thank you. Whoever wants to argue for the Commonwealth. That's what he did.
Whoever wants to argue for the Commonwealth. No one wants to argue for the Commonwealth. But somebody has been hired to argue for the Commonwealth, and it's their job. And sometimes lawyering involves, is a shit job. Because sometimes you got to stand up and be like, yeah, Runkle, first initial I, I'm with stupid. You can't say it that way, but absolutely sometimes you're just like, yeah, I'm here representing this guy, and yeah. Had a trial for a guy. The guy was dumb. Guy was really, really dumb. And you know what his argument was at the trial was? Well, they can't prove it's me on that video. Dude was really fucking obvious. He was not hard to pick out. And so, but he's like, there's no way they're going to convict me based on this video. It's such poor quality video. And I'm like, no, it's got a really clear image of your face. That moment when you were in there committing the crime, and when you looked up before you decided to start the criming, when you were still in the we're about to crime, but you hadn't yet crimed yet, and you looked up and you looked directly into the security camera and you went, I don't think that's real. Because that's exactly what the thought process was I don't think that's a real camera. We're going ahead. It was a real camera. It was a real camera that got a great picture of dude's face with enough resolution to make it very clear. And so we run the trial, and they run the video, and there's dude looking directly into the camera, and there's my client looking at the TV screen with exactly the same facial expression and the same looking up at a thing. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. And so, yeah, my closing submissions were basically, well, Your Honor, that could have been anyone on that video. And the judge is like, nope. It could have been anyone, but it was your client. So, Yep. Sometimes you're the lawyer standing next to that person, and you still stand up and you're like, Runkle, first initial I, I'm pleased to be representing, Joe Boggs today. Not the real name, obviously, but, And you're like, I'm not really pleased to be representing Joe Boggs. Joe Boggs sucks.
So my understanding of the purpose of today's hearing is to deal with the civil matter.
It is.
If counsel for either of the defendants wants to make a written motion to alter the terms of the protective order, they are free to do that at any time, and we are happy to engage in conversation outside of filing of a written
So whoever's operating this camera needs to figure out how focus works.
motion. The Commonwealth, because there is significant interest in what's happening here today, I would like to make it clear that the Commonwealth has no interest in protecting former Trooper Proctor statements that are contained on these phones.
Then don't. Then don't.
And we have engaged in providing expedient production of discovery to these defendants and all other defendants who are impacted. And so I want to make it clear that the reason that we had to seek and obtain a protective order to begin with was in part because this court directed us to do so when you directed us to obtain this material. So we follow court orders. That's number one. Number two, as some people have alluded to, there is material contained within the thread of these text chats that does impact significantly innocent and unknowing persons. So the only way to provide the true substance of these text threads was to provide it in its entirety with a protective order. That's what we did, and I think that defense counsel would agree that that was the appropriate way to provide it at that time. If we need to make alterations, we certainly can do that. In terms of today, we have continued to treat all entities that have sought this information equitably and fairly. If there is a request for this information, and in this case, it was a subpoena that we responded to. The subpoena came from a specific civil case. We have a confidentiality agreement that relates to this material that Ms. Reed and her counsel agreed to. Then we sought alteration, and this was contemplated in the confidentiality agreement from this court to produce this material for that lawsuit. We did that. That is what Ms. Reed agreed to. She now wants to change that, and then there would not be any sort of litigation or any sort of court proceeding overseeing the next production. And that is the fundamental difference. In a couple of weeks, if there's a lawsuit that's filed, there can be another subpoena. We can then treat all parties, whoever the parties are, to whatever lawsuit, identically produce discovery in an orderly format to those parties, assuming that that's what's appropriate at that point in time. It is completely unclear to us why we need to deviate from that protocol. And
I hate when lawyers make the argument of it's unclear to me why I have to do these things. And I mean, if I was the judge, I would be an asshole about every time this happens. Because they'd be like, it's unclear to me. And I'd be like, counsel, what is clear and not clear to you is not relevant here. Make submissions about what the law is or isn't, but don't plead your own fucking ignorance. There's a potential defamation between an IRL streamer and a victim he accused live of being a PDF. Yes, Crazy Cat Queen, send that to me. I will have a look at it. I can't promise I'll report on it, but yeah.
I want to reiterate to the court, we are treating multiple parties in the same way. It is not just Ms. Reed, the town of Canton, Post. There are a number of different entities that have reached out to us asking for this material that we have said we cannot just give it to you. So it doesn't matter who the entity is. We are asking that there be a court proceeding.
The entity is such a weird way of phrasing this. Is it Cthulhu? Like Astaroth? Who are we talking about here? Are we, because if it's Cthulhu, I got some questions. Like, what and the fuck? But, you know, just the entity, like Gozer the Gozerian?
Overseeing this material.
Okay, thanks very much. I'll just give you a minute. Go right ahead.
Thank you. First of all, there is a court proceeding overseeing this materials. It's your honor. It's why we're here, why I've now been here twice as the civil attorney. So again, all I'm asking is you add one case to what you've already ordered. We would have to comply with the remainder of your order in that case.
Do you intend to file that suit within the next month?
Yes.
When does the presentment period end?
So the state police has actually rejected the presentment, so we could file that. But the town of Canton's period elapses roughly mid-May. So that's right around the time.
Okay. All right.
Just briefly, the town of Canton's allegations were brought up about leaking. Miss Reed hasn't leaked anything. There's no evidence of Miss Reed leaking anything. First of all, the document that the town of Canton referred to, Sergeant Good's dismissal notice, was produced also by the town of Canton to a third party, not Miss Reed, not my office, in response to a public records request. The media reporting on that letter that Mr. Proctor's counsel's attorney referring to explicitly says this was obtained by, and it gives the Twitter handle of the party that got that document through.
And I mean, it kind of goes without saying, I guess, that if something is obtained through a public records request, that it's not really leaking because it's public, right?
Public records request. It didn't come from Miss Reed. So that's just not true. Town of Canton's not here to argue it, but it's not accurate. Also, there was nothing preventing that from becoming public. If for some reason it had come from our office, it's allowed to be public. There's no restriction. So this idea that leaking, we heard it in the oppositions to this case, that things that are filed publicly will unquestionably be leaked. If they're filed publicly, they don't need to be leaked. They're filed publicly. And we're already allowed to do that in the O'Keefe case. We are just asking to be able to do that elsewhere. And finally, as to relevance, Mr. DeGangi referred to the claims. He referred to what statute it's under, who's a party, what we allege. We haven't filed the complaint yet. He doesn't know what we're going to allege. The point is we have these documents. They're relevant to the claim that we're going to bring. And when Mr. Proctor and his counsel read our complaint, they'll see why they are so relevant. But this is not a matter we should be talking about relevance in a criminal session where we're just talking about the confidentiality and protecting third parties, which we all want to do.
Okay. Thank you, Walt.
Your
I'll
Honor,
take
may
it
I-
under advisement.
May I
I'll
have
give you
10 seconds?
yeah, go ahead.
The only lawyer I've ever seen pull off I need just this little time, like, there's only one lawyer I've ever seen actually do it, and it's Alessi. And I was so impressed, I made a video about it. But he says 10 seconds. Okay, here we go. We're just going to start at a nice...
If you allow Ms. Reed's motion, I would ask that the court also issue an order allowing the DA's office to produce these 44,000 pages of documents. I've never seen them. And that's in my motion.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, to be quite honest. It's
He was at 13 seconds, so 30% over.
So I'm not going to be able to comply with 44,000 pages. So I just want to, that's not the way we produce materials. So.
Okay. I'll take it under advisement.
Judge, I just correct the record. Carl said we hadn't filed a motion on record in Mr. King's case, and I believe Mr. Johnson's case is our motion in response to the Commonwealth's motion to provide law enforcement bodies information. This is the post stuff. And or to vacate or modify the protective order. It's already on file, Judge. That's all I have to say.
And we litigated that. We changed the order. We litigated.
I also love her move of just dumping the thing.
Before Judge Krupp, and that is the modification that is presently in case in the point.
Nice to see you all. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Taken under
The judge is like, nice to see you. Get the fuck out.
Mr. King's case is next on June 18th at 3:30. As to De Los Santos et al., that's on May 8th at 2 p.m.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Just so you know, May 8th, I may be on trial, so Mr. Costa didn't see anything.
Okay. I think Judge Pedro, is that in this session, Attorney Scarpiccio?
I don't think that it is, Judge, no, I think it's in.
It'll be with Judge Sullivan.
Oh, Judge Sullivan. Yeah.
I just want to let the court know I'm
Thanks.
starting the trial.
All right.
Thank you.
You are muted.
Are you in this session?
I love the judge there being like, thank you all for coming out, in tones that basically are like, get out, we done. I'm so tired of all this. So yeah, that is a fun moment there. All right, so let's cover super chats, and then we got a couple of additional things I wanted to talk about before we wrap up. Ohio Palm Moms is glad to see you tonight. Glad to be here. It is good times. So yeah. Also, I reached out to a friend of mine who used to do drone stuff, and he's got a drone that what is that? He's got a drone that he may be able to hand over for not too many monies, which will be useful. Although apparently the battery in it is completely fucked, so I need to drop another $100 on the battery. So, yeah, that is good stuff. So glad to see you tonight. Good stuff. Random unbreaded commenter. Lally is sitting in the cuck chair out of habit. GP dog drool in order. The prim and proper mountain dog. Oh, that is a very sweet pup. He's using it to hang his argument in the gallows with the tie. Yeah. Kimchi, the forensic homeopath. Now apparently YouTube has banned the word dongle. It's probably just that it doesn't like the word dong. And then, yeah. Katie Huling, how are we making Proctor sad? If we're quick on the goal, can we do even more of it? I mean, Proctor is sad anytime somebody is talking about Proctor. So DSN, thank you for being a member for 35 months. That is amazing. What is it? Question, any update on Rob? Rob is dealing with family shit. I don't really, it's not my place to share the family shit, but he's dealing with shit. And so he is working on dealing with that. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I expect he'll be back and streaming and so forth once that, once that clears. But Rob is alive. Rob is doing okay. He's just, he's dealing with his stuff that he's dealing with, right? So, yeah. DSN, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Much appreciated. Disney Dame, making Proctor sad. I'll drink some Screech to that. I mean, you could make him sad by sending him some Screech. Random unbreaded commenter. You actually can text yourself, manually put in the number. Now I'm going to have to try that. Skeesy, Ian the Snow Elf's health is currently adjourned. Yeah, I think I just had some not ideal food. So, yeah. Somebody's harbinger of imminent death. Something about the way this guy talks. I just hear an hourly rate. However, Miss Capicchio can be found in the dictionary under zealous representation. She is awesome. Any guesses for Turtle Boy's new First Amendment lawyer? Anyone? Does he not still have the lawyers? I think Bradle and Betterow are still on for him. So, yeah. East Coast Kenny, 7th attempt. Sick of repeating myself, but wondering if you've ever tried Maritime Madness's hot sauces. I'm from PI and my buddy owns the company. Would love to send you a sample pack. East Coast Kenny, I have tried their Maritime Madness sauces. I think I've tried their mustard, both the hot and the less hot, as well as a couple of others. I actually really like the Maritime Madness stuff. So if you want to send me a sample pack, I would not say no, but I would also love to just talk to the Maritime Madness people because they do good work. They do good stuff. So I am a fan. Runkle, Ken Mello was charged for threatening to stab a healthcare worker. I saw that. And yeah. What bar have you been in that didn't have Clamato? I worked in an Eagles where I mostly beer tended instead of bartending, and we had Clamato. So, I actually drank for free, although I only had like 2 or 3 drinks. But I drank for free ish at a Hawaii bar. Mrs. Runkle and I went hiking and we did a bunch of stuff and we were, whatever else. And Mrs. Runkle was tuckered out and I was not yet tuckered out. I was still like feeling energetic. So I went to Da Poke Shack and I got poke and I ate the poke. It was lovely, like amazing. You can't find proper poke here in Edmonton. There's lots of places that are like, we're a poke shop, but it's not the same shit. But then I went to a bar and so I went to the bar and, I was like, can you guys do a Caesar? And the guy's like, what the fuck is a Caesar? And I'm like, well, here's how you make a Caesar. They're like, we don't have Clamato. So I said, well, if I got you some Clamato, would you make me a Caesar? And they went, if you bring us Clamato, we'll make you a Caesar. So I went and looked around and I found a convenience store that actually had Clamato and it was covered in dust. Like I pulled the Clamato and it was covered in dust and I like wiped it off. I shook it up. I was like, okay, this looks like it's still fine. And so I went back into the bar. The bartender's like, the bouncer was like, you can't bring that in here. And I was like, the bartender wants this. And so the bartender sees me and is like, yeah, let him through. So I go up, I give him the bottle of Clamato and I'm like, so, here's the deal. And so he made himself 2 Caesars, like 1 Caesar for me and 1 for him. And, and I tried it and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. And he tried it and he's like, this is actually good. And I was like, right? And he's like, all right. And so I had a Caesar and then I had like 1 or 2 more Caesars and I was like, all right, feeling pretty good. Can I get my bill? And the guy's like, no bill. You good. You're fine. And I was like, all right, well, I'm throwing some money in the tip jar and I'm leaving. If you won't let me pay, I'm going to storm out. Here's my money in the tip jar. Bye. So yeah, was fun. Pamela Wissenbach, Proctor deserves a sad. He deserves so many sads. Random unprinted commenter, soft music friend, hard slur / violence. Yeah. May Wimple, thanks for keeping me company while I lost my mind trying to find my wallet. It was why was it in the fridge? That's a Runkle move. Michigan Farm Boy, the judge probably doesn't have inappropriate messages between colleagues that should have been reported, which would have made the employer culpable for his inappropriate actions. Right? Michigan Farm Boy, and he only occasionally deleted a minority, Your Honor. I don't think his argument was helping this guy's case. Yeah. Lina loves trials. Have you watched Trial 4? I have not. More corruption from Massachusetts cops. Black man unjustly accused and convicted of a crime in jail for years. So disgusting. And then you wonder about the stuff they're saying. Kay Paris says, are we allowed to put links to GoFundMe in chat? I don't want to break any rules or upset anyone. It's for my stepson. I'm just trying to think of where all I can share, but don't want to do something not allowed. I think I told Tide to share the link out. So the Jet JJ for the not long Monday stream. Thank you so much. Rolling along still. Her daughter behind her is just so proud of her mother. She's grinning ear to ear. Oh, is that her daughter behind her? Awesome. Don't want to be replay crew. What's going on? We just finished talking about Proctor. Now we're going to talk about some other chaos. Skeezy says, motion for immediate snow elf recovery. Get well. I am going to try to get some sleep. We'll see. So, yeah. Random unbreaded commenter. Runkle is pleased to represent the great Cornholio. Yeah. Harbinger of imminent death. How many different lawyers, parties in the same courtroom before the judge is allowed to just hide behind the desk? Sadly, the judge is never allowed to do that. Tatiana Matiuka, thank you so much. Much appreciated. PJ Wolfweimers, glad to be here. Becca says they were asking about a civil lawyer for Turtle Boy. Yeah, I don't know who that is at this point, but yeah. And her daughter was her sidekick. She's an attorney as well. She was doing a good job. Oh, yes. This is a good thing for Sad Proctor. All right, let's talk about some other chaos. And this is some chaos that is local to me. This is some Alberta chaos. And so here we go. So Crown misconduct led to stayed sexual assault charges against Alberta's spiritual leader and wife, court hears. So Johannes, also known as John de Ruiter, and his wife Leanne each face 6 counts of SA. And they don't have a picture of Johannes de Ruiter. De Ruiter is the guy, the sort of creepy looking guy who is on the thumbnail. We haven't done David yet. We're gonna cover him very shortly. I see people saying pup swoop. We can do a pup swoop. Maybe we can do another one. That, by the way, is how Zora goes. Pet me. She's like, I want pats. So, all right. So this is these are the lawyers for the two. On the right is Dino Botos. On the left is Zachary Al-Khatib. Both of them. Ah, crap. 1 second. Hopefully that'll fix things. Is that better? Yes, no. All right, better. Okay, good. I'm seeing people saying better. Awesome. So both of these two are really good lawyers. I don't fault the defense for their work in this, but yeah. So basically, how do I put this? John de Ruiter is like a spiritual leader, but the government was alleging that they had a cult, that he's a cult leader. And the allegations were basically that he pressed several women into sleeping with him through being a cult leader, right? And so essentially it was just like, he's a cult leader. Their consent was not valid because it was obtained through being a cult leader. And so, that's essentially the crux of the crux of the charges there. Now, abruptly, the Crown dropped the charges. They stayed proceedings. And the reason why is because what came out is that apparently the Crown prosecutors, instead of... So expert witnesses are supposed to show up and basically just give their opinions, and they're not supposed to really be on a side. The experts are supposed to, the experts are supposed to just be experts and, sort of, they're there to help the court rather than being there to, advance the interests of one side or another. It's an important reason why expert witnesses are, why they're not, why they have additional sort of authority over regular witnesses. Now, what the allegations were here, or what was suggested, is that apparently the Crown prosecutor had edited the expert reports on their own. So the Crown prosecutors went in and changed the opinions. And this resulted in the... so after this came out, the chief Crown prosecutor the chief Crown stepped in and assigned new Crown prosecutors to this case. And then the new Crown prosecutors reviewed the case and they stayed the charges. They killed it. It's gone. So the previous Crown prosecutors were Damina Hussein and Aisling Ryan. And this is going to be a bit of a shit show. So the defense lawyers have indicated that they plan to file, they're going to file bar complaints. They're going to file complaints with the Law Society of Alberta. The Alberta Crown prosecutor has also launched an internal review. And the defense is seeking costs. Costs are almost never granted in criminal files. Almost never. I have had like 2 files where I actually thought costs might get granted. And both of them, the instant I said I was making an application for costs, the Crown killed the file. Because they were like, yep, if he's got a good argument for costs and it's not like completely frivolous, this is gone. This is done. This is shocking. And assuming that this holds up, like assuming that these allegations turn out to be true, then these Crown prosecutors shouldn't be Crown prosecutors. If, and if they don't turn out to be true, then they don't, right? But, yeah, almost. Shit, Canada's insane. Costs don't exist in criminal here. They exist. So costs, 1 second. Okay, now can you hear me? Son of a... yeah, okay. Now, okay, good. So, in order to get costs on a criminal file, you either need a rights violation that is a significant rights violation, but where there isn't really a good alternate remedy, or you need like serious, egregious misconduct on the part of the Crown. And they're going with the serious, egregious, thing. That's their argument here. This is really bad because this is absolutely this was a high profile prosecution, right? This was a major thing. I see Ed DeBevics, somebody mentioned, which is like 50s era diner. Do they do, oh, that might be a good choice. Do they do, What is it? I'm now checking their menu. Beverages. Okay. Okay, what are their hours? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this while I'm live, but oh, they close at 9. All right. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What is it? Was like that might not be a bad idea if I could do an event there, but if they close at 9, then that doesn't work as well because we probably want to hang out later. So I'll just try to figure that out. But they don't seem incredibly expensive. So yeah. All right. Yeah, that's actually not bad. All right. So let's see. Yeah, what is it? Runkle, it makes it unfun if you don't want to be doing this or tired or feeling obligated. Go get some rest. I'm not feeling obligated. I just I want to hang out. I'm just also distracted, but yeah. Drinks under 20 and it's right across from the Hard Rock. Yeah, it's actually a pretty decent option, but they close at 9, so that's too yeah, too early. Runkle of the Bailey, what will happen to Ruiter's victims now? This is the problem, is they are the victims are just in shit. They don't get any remedy. What kind of drone batteries do you need? DJI Mavic Pro battery. So I got to figure that out. I'm like, he's bringing up my question and he's muted and he's answering it. Oh shit, which was your question? Which one was yours? I got to find it. Where was that question? I'm scrolling back trying to find where I answered your question there. Because I de-start it, but where'd it go? Oh, and her daughter was the sidekick. Totally. She's an attorney as well. Oh, yes. She was pretty badass, the daughter as well. All right. So I got to figure that out. Yeah. This case is crazy. This is bizarre. This is, and yeah, if it lands, those prosecutors should not be prosecutors at all. Like full stop. All right, let's cover one more thing, and we're going to cover it as sort of thoroughly as we can with the limited information that's out there. Dang it. I will pull up. So, did the goal die? The goal, we are at 7 out of 10. Okay. Scapiccio was the attorney in trial 4. Yes, I will have to check it out. Luna Dewdrop says, love you, Runkle. I want to get you to Zora Treats and pro bono lawyering. I'm getting closer to the pro bono lawyering. Luna Dewdrop says, Zora Treats. I have a little bit of pizza crust here. Also, I caught a replay the other day and heard someone mention pozole. I make good pozole. It's soup made with pork and a bunch of spices and peppers. I need to find a good place. Also, I think you'd love Mexican food. I do love Mexican food based on your taste in drinks and food. If you ever find yourself in SoCal, we can meet up and eat good food. I need to get back to California. Dang it. Grr. And Tachuna Batuka, thank you so much. I think that probably hits our goal. Does that hit the goal? It is. We are 1 away from the goal. And 55 seconds. Okay. So let me pull up. Oh, and then we've got my ADHD is on point today and goal and all sorts of people hitting it at the same time. All right. Let me see if I can get the Zora in here. So give me a second. I will try to recruit the Zora to have a pizza crust. So give me one moment here. We got pizza, and it was Mrs. Runkle's choice. Her favorite place is my least favorite place. So, 1 second. Zora. Oh, she was right on hand. All right, Zora, you got to be on camera here. Up. Yeah, come on. Come get it. There you go. Good Zora. And now she runs. She's like, you can't take this from me. Oh, she's such a sweet pup. Hopefully you guys got a good sight of that. I thought she was there on her thing there. Yeah, somebody's Zora is chonk. She is. We got to get her weight down, but yeah. I don't understand. Try to give a dog pizza crust. The thing is that Mrs. Runkle is home, and Zora sticks to Mrs. Runkle when Mrs. Runkle is home, like you would not believe. She just follows Mrs. Runkle around, and yeah, we did it. It was fucking adorable. She is super adorable. So, all right, let's talk about somebody not so adorable. And we've got Boston, September 5th would be rad. Yeah, I'm kind of nervous about going anywhere near Boston. So, yeah. What is it? Oh, see, my girl doesn't hop up to take stuff from me. I taught her to sit and ask and wait to be given. Otherwise, I end up with dogs' faces in my dinner plate. She only hops up when I sort of invite her to hop up. So, and yeah. She's not getting old. It's just the chonkiness that makes it. Yeah, she gained some weight. So, all right. 2 requests. David Gingras, Bar Association woes. I need to do a video on that. And John Dellon, LDS Church woes. I got to look into that one. I haven't decided if I'm doing a video on it yet. But yeah. All right. So let's look at David, who is David Anthony Burke. So, Superior Court for the State of California for the County of Los Angeles. So he is facing a number of charges. Count 1. On or about April 23rd, 2025, in the county of LA, the crime of murder, capital letters, in violation of penal code. Yeah. A felony. No shit. Murder is a felony. Like, yeah. Did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Celeste R., a human being. And they note that it's further alleged that it was intentional and was carried out by David Anthony Burke for financial gain. Now, the financial gain here is actually more of avoiding a financial loss, because the allegations basically are that they are worried about the allegations for that is that he was worried that like this was going to blow up his music career, right? And that he was making huge money off his music career and therefore didn't want it to be revealed that he was molesting this girl since she was like 12 or 14. So, yeah. Question, I have my Twitch live stream covering the David hearing in full after attending it on April 23rd. Would you like the link? Yes, but I won't be able to go over it today, but please do send me the link. Yeah. Zora contests the citation of takesies versus backsies. So, yeah. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste was committed by David Anthony Burke and that he intentionally killed the victim by means of lying in wait. Further alleged that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, used a deadly and dangerous weapon, to which sharp instrument. So that's an additional, aggravating factor. And did engage in 3 and more acts of substantial sexual conduct and 3 or more lewd and lascivious acts with Celeste, a child under the age of 14 years, while the defendant resided with and had recurring access to the child. So, they also have alleged that he committed the crime of unlawful mutilation of human remains in violation of the Health and Safety Code section 7052, of which is also a felony. So, let's talk about some other things that have been revealed, and we're probably going to hit demonetization fairly quickly, but Rachel Mills, yes, send me the link. I won't be able to go through the link today, but I will go through the link and watch it, and we may cover it another day if that works. Crap. 1 second. Is that any better? Are you able to hear me better now? Hopefully better. It's not a mic problem. It's a computer problem somehow. So I don't know why it's a computer problem, but so there's some other details here. We are probably going to lose monetization here, but it is what it is. So one of the things that's been revealed is that he apparently had a substantial quantity of what we'll call bad pictures on the on his phone. And the thing is that the bad pictures, they've also said that they have 40 terabytes worth of evidence. And the thing is that a lot of the reports have said that he has 40 terabytes of bad pictures. I don't think that's true. I think that the 40 terabytes of evidence is 40 terabytes in general, writ large. But what is likely for those images is that it is likely that that he had images of the deceased. And, you know, it's bad, right? And, you know, so yeah, people are noting 40 terabytes is an almost unfathomable amount of data. Yes and no. 40 terabytes would be an unfathomable amount of bad pictures, right? But if you start looking at like, if he's doing live streams, if he's doing, you know, videos, if he's doing audio editing, because apparently some of his music videos are likely to be evidence, because there's music videos, there's, you know, music videos that look suspiciously similar to the facts of the case. And so that can add up a lot quicker, right? So, I mean, yeah, but this is exactly it. Kyle Aiden Fox, good to see you, by the way. I haven't seen you in a bit. It's fairly common that police will find, say, a couple dozen bad pictures in a collection of thousands and use the larger number when talking to the press. I have had prosecutors stand up and say, you know, they'll stand up in court and say, so-and-so was found with an alleged, like, you know, 600 gigabytes of, you know, of bad pictures. And you look at it later and it turns out that there's like 4 pictures mixed in with the guy's like vacation photos and vacation videos and whatever else, right? So I don't know that the 40 terabytes has, you know, is connected to that. I suspect that the vast majority of the 40 terabytes is just other stuff, right? Is, you know, him talking on live streams that they're going over, this kind of shit, right? So, because they're going to go through every last live stream and every last bit of video and every last anything, and they're going to see every time he mentions her. They're going to see every time anything is said that could be incriminating. All of that is going to get looked at, right? So, yeah. Other things. So apparently the autopsy report is sort of out, and what is it? It says that she was apparently stabbed with a non-serrated blade that is double-sided. Lots and lots of people online on Twitter have been pointing out that apparently he shows off a knife that looks just like that a lot. So that's concerning for his, because they're going to find that knife and they're going to be like, okay, let's match it to this. Other things that were learned is apparently they found her in 2 duffel bags. Which, yeah. Somebody's saying my brain is buffering on what non-serrated means. So, this is a non-serrated knife. It's just got the flat edge, right? Do I have a serrated knife handy? I don't think I do. But a serrated knife has like little, little jaggies or whatever. Yeah, serrated like a bread knife, right? So yeah, smooth instead of crinkly. Steak knife is also often serrated. So yeah. 1 actual body bag. I have heard 2 bags, and one with like torso head and the other with limbs, which, is awful. So I'm just going to say I am not entirely determined as to whether or not I am going to cover this one, because the more shit comes out on this one, the more horrible it seems to be. And it might be that the facts of this case are just too freaking nightmarish to do, to cover, right? Because, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I just, I don't know. It's a difficult one overall. So I don't know what cases I'm going to cover next. I don't know what's going to, and yeah, is this one likely to be legally novel or interesting? The thing that I think will be interesting about this one will be the degree of investigation, because they had to go through a whole bunch of investigation to try to conclusively prove that it was him, right? Now, the other reason why I might want to cover this one is because this guy is no, like, he's not, he's wealthy is the way I'll put it. Like, he's got money, and he's got money such that he'll be able to hire good lawyers. And so we'll probably see some excellent lawyering with some really shit facts. Hypothetically, as a defense lawyer, how would you approach this case? Step 1, look through all of the disclosure, the discovery, all of that stuff, right? Go through all of that with a fine-tooth comb, map out what I think the prosecution's case is going to look like, how the prosecution is going to argue it, and basically figure out all of the elements of all of the offenses and which pieces of evidence go where they are on that. If you can sort of imagine it as like different pathways to conviction, you're mapping out the bits of evidence on that path. Then, because you're the defense lawyer, you're trying to cut as many of those lines as you possibly can, right? You want to break as many of the connections between like start and conviction, and, break it up. And you're going to want to evaluate each of these pieces of evidence to see, like, can they be excluded? You know, do you need them to be excluded? Where are the arguments to exclude it? What's, you know, where's all the bits there that you can try to, you know, because if you can exclude something on a bad search, that can change the nature of the case hugely, right? Hugely. Would I take a case like this? Yes. 100% I would take a case like this. Would I enjoy a case like this? No. But I'd take the case. Well, I don't know. Actually, I said I would take this case, and now I'm sort of second guessing myself. And the thing is that if I do pro bono law, I may not take another case that involves like child SA. And the reason why is because those are fucking horrific. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to deal with those things. So I don't know. I now second guess myself. If it was just the murder, no problems with just the murder, right? Like murder is murder, you know, whatever else. But yeah, it's that other stuff is unpleasant. So yeah, it is what it is, but yeah, I got to think about it and figure it all out. And, you know, thankfully it's not my problem. Nobody's coming through the door saying, hey, will you represent this guy? But yeah. Runkle, I heard everything / assets in his mother's name. Does he have cash for a lawyer? I suspect that his mom will put up the money for a lawyer, right? So I suspect that'll be a thing. Maybe off topic, for cases like this, do they offer counseling or anything for the juries who have to look at the picture or hear about the... Often the answer is no. Often the answer to that is no. In Canada, they recently had to change the law because Canadian jurors are not allowed to talk about their jury experience. Ever. But they had to change the law to allow jurors to go to therapy. So it is now legal for jurors to get therapy. It's not that the government will pay for it, but it's now legal for them to get therapy, which, you know, yeah. Miss Jessica, I'll message you about Chicago locations this week. Excellent. Sooner is better, but, you know, whenever you can. Yeah, it's rough. Whoever, people shouldn't get convicted for song lyrics, and song lyrics should not factor strongly into whether someone did something or not. I will say, my personal view of things is that song lyrics should be absolutely inadmissible in a trial unless the song lyrics are so clearly specific that they could not have been sung, like they could not have been created by somebody who did not have special understanding of the file. So, you know, if it's just like a song lyric that anybody could have written, I'm like, no, that doesn't matter. But if it's a song lyric that is specific and offers information that is otherwise unobtainable, you know, like, I mean, imagine this, right? Imagine the person sings a song and it's not just, you know, I shot Bob with my 9mm, but it's like, it gets real specific. Like, I shot Bob with, you know, RIP rounds, which the RIP rounds, they're gimmicky bullshit, but they're out there. And so, you know, but they're very specific gimmicky bullshit, right? And so, you know, then they find the body and like, how did anybody know this? Right? Well, then that's a thing. Similarly, I see people noting that the music came out before the killing. Sure. And it's still possible that the music could be very specific about like how the planning would go down and so forth, in which case that might be evidence of premeditation, right? So yeah, but if it's just like, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die, and then they're like, well, we're gonna we're gonna charge him for shooting some guy in Reno. It's like, no, that's too shitty. So yeah, that's too sparse. All right. What is it? Jurors can't talk about it in Canada. That is correct. 100%. Killer may have copied the music to falsely implicate the singer. That is a fair point too. Someone's mentioned the Key and Peele sketch, right? Kinda, yep. So, but I mean, like, you listen to a country song. How many country music singers? I'm going to narrow this down. How many female country music singers have written about murdering their spouse? It's not such a popular topic for male country singers. But like, when I listen to female country singers, they talk about murdering their spouse like all the fucking time. It's kind of creepy. And, so you'd be like, okay, how many of them should go to jail, right? So, yeah, I just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing there. All right, let's cover the last couple of super chats here. Michigan Farm Boy, we're trying to get Zora to lose weight. This clearly doesn't include Zora. Zora has opinions. Random unbreaded commenter. The wood chipper's never going back into storage, is it? I don't know what that refers to. The what do you call it? Zora story before we wrap up. Earlier today, Mrs. Runkle was getting a fresh bag of dog food for the doggos, right? And so in the course of getting a fresh bag of dog food, she accidentally spilled a whole bunch of dog food all over the floor. And then she was like, okay. So she calls Zora up and she's like, I spilled dog food. And Zora was on the job. She was going and she was like cleaning up all the stuff. And while she was cleaning up the food, Mrs. Runkle went into her dog dish and removed some food as like, we got to balance this out because she's getting a whole bunch of bonus. But Zora was like running here and there and back and forth, just like, and just vacuuming up all the all the food. So that was a good thing. Murd and vandalizing their car. Don't forget that part. That seems weird because if you're gonna kill him, why would you also vandalize the car? I don't. But yeah. All right. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. It is like 9:30 my time. We've been at this for almost 3 hours, which is a short stream by my standards. Very short stream by my standards. But I did warn it would probably be a short stream. I got to get some sleep. I got to try to, feel better because, all of that stuff. Any bonus Runkle this week? Probably. There will probably be bonus Runkle at some point, but I'm not sure when. Friday might be a thing. So, yeah. The meetup would be a mission. What to expect? We're gonna set it up at like some sort of bar, restaurant, that kind of thing, and have all of that. So anyway, thank you all for joining me, and see you guys next time. There is news that I wish I could share with you guys because it's freaking hilarious, but I can't yet. Soon. So good night all, and East Coast Canny, reach out to me via my email or Twitter. We'll chat because that would be awesome. So, all right. Hold on. Did I miss Chicago date? It'll probably be the 30th of May is what I'm looking at. 30th of May is where I'm trying to have it. So, all right. Good night, all, and yep. See you.